everybody. I got some feedback from a couple people that the sleeping ergonomics video was beneficial in some way or another, so I'm glad that I was able to help, and I thought that I would do a sitting ergonomics video as well. Since so many people are probably working from home and on their computers a lot of the day, I thought that that could be useful. Of course, there's sitting ergonomics for when you're just sitting on a couch or something like that, but I was going to do more workspace ergonomics, and you have to be creative with what you have. So I don't have like desk, so I've been using a kitchen table, and then I needed to increase the height of where my computer sits, because you want the screen to basically be, if not at eye level, just below, so that you can just tilt your eyes down and you don't have to tilt your chin down. You want to be able to sit with a nice tall posture and your feet flat on the floor. So the noise I made scared my dog. Denji, hush. Yes, you want to make sure that your feet can sit flat on the floor. Luckily, since my legs are a little bit longer, I can increase the height of my seat by using a pillow for comfort, but my feet can still sit flat. You can always put some kind of box or stool underneath your feet so that your feet can sit flat. If your feet are kind of dangling, or if you're pulling your feet back like this, you're actually pulling your pelvis into a more anteriorly rotated position, and then that can cause some low back issues and hip pain. So you want your feet flat in front of you, hips distance apart if that's comfortable. If you tend to cross and you can't prevent it, then I would just say try to cross your non-preferred way more frequently than you probably do now. The keyboard height, you want it to be so that your elbows can be relaxed at your sides with your shoulder blades relaxed down your back, and your elbows will be at about a 90-degree angle. And again, you want to be able to keep your head up. If the screen isn't at eye level, make sure that it's not so low that you have to tilt your actual chin, that you can just keep your head up. I just used, actually it's a vinyl record player, but it's a good sturdy box that I knew wouldn't be flimsy with my computer on top of it, so I've been using that. And then sometimes if I get bored of sitting and I want to do more standing, but I don't have enough good boxes to stack for me to be able to stand with good posture and work on my computer. So sometimes I'll do more tall kneeling. So I just added another box on top of that one. And then I take my little ottoman stool and I will kneel on that. If you do this, you don't want a lot of pressure on your actual kneecap. You want to be bearing weight mostly through that ridge of the bone on your shin there. I was able to increase the height so that my elbows are still close to 90 degrees. The screen is a little bit low, but it's not too bad. I've gotten pretty good at just angling my eyes down, because I'll tend to have some neck and shoulder issues if I tilt my head down too much, because then I wind up rounding into my lower back and causes a bunch of issues. So you can work on your strength in your core, making sure that your belly button is pulled in and up, and you can work on maintaining a little bit more of a posteriorly rotated pelvis rather than dumping into it and having an increased curve in your low back, putting more pressure on your nerves, causing more pain, etc., etc. Or I can take my ottoman, and then I will sit either on the pillow that I have on the chair, or a folded blanket, sitting on the front edge of it, the way that you would in a yoga class, to help hold your pelvis in a better position. And then again, just having something to make sure that it's a good height for you. I typically don't need anything on top of my ottoman if I'm working on my computer this way. So that's the different ways that I try to maintain a good upright posture while I'm working on my computer. And of course, trying not to sit for prolonged periods of time. You want to get up and do some walking, some stretches, maybe get on the floor, do some yoga, have a dog with a bone in his mouth. basically heart openers can really help with if you have a difficulty not kind of going here into this position when you're typing, sitting back into a sacral sitting position, rounding your upper back, tilting your head down. So really you're just kind of hanging on the tension in your ligaments and tendons and muscles rather than really using your muscles to hold yourself up. We want to fight gravity and hold yourself up. So basically heart openers are really good for kind of counteracting that. So even simply rolling up your blanket and having that like upper middle back, basically like where the bottom edge of the shoulder blades are, so that it's decreasing the curve in your upper back rather than increasing the curve in your lower back. One that I really like, if you have the shoulder flexibility for it and it doesn't hurt you, obviously breathing in as you reach up, and then exhale, bring your hands down, and then try to interlace your fingers behind you. If you're able to rotate your palms down towards the floor and place them on the floor behind you, you don't have to place them, you can just hold them up. One thing that I have to be conscious of when I do this is trying to make sure that I'm pulling my lower ribs down and I'm not flaring my ribs open in order to get that range motion. And tilting your head back, giving the front of your neck a little bit of a stretch. Your scalene muscles are the ones that go on the front side of your neck here, and if you're somebody who tends to be in this position, you're putting those muscles basically on slack, and then they're getting tighter in a shorter position, and that puts a lot of pressure on nerves that go into your arm. So you can stretch the front of your neck similarly to how we would do those lateral stretches or the upper trap stretches or poses, where you bring one ear to your shoulder and then the opposite hand walks out to the side, and then you can use the weight of your arm to deepen the stretch, making sure that you're not pulling. And of course doing both sides. So the one to get those front muscles, the scalenes, you have to be careful not to put too much torque on your neck. But if you sit up nice and tall and you start by bringing your just left ear to your left shoulder, just like you would for the one I just showed, and then tilting your chin up towards the ceiling more, you should start to feel a pull here. For most people, you can get an angle that gives you a deep enough stretch that you don't need the weight of your arm. If you want to use the weight of your arm, just be very careful because your neck is in a position where you could accidentally get one of those joints a little bit out of place. I think just using the weight of your head and the strength of the muscles on the back side of your neck to try to pull your chin up and back, trying to find wherever you feel the deepest stretch. If you feel any kind of radiating symptoms down the arm, or up towards the ear or something like that, it's not abnormal because you have that big cluster of nerves here, and you're stretching the muscles that go right over that. If it's painful, of course, back off. Another good shoulder stretch is just using the door, or a door frame. So it's a good option to do both. Your elbows should be below your shoulder height. Your hands can be above that, but you're risking pinching a rotator cuff tendon if you go up too high when you do this. So elbows below your shoulders, and then shifting forward, trying to really feel a stretch in your pecs. If you're just stepping through with your pelvis, you're not really getting a good stretch. You're getting the lower fibers of the pec muscles, but you really want to try to have your chest be what's leading for the stretch to get a deeper pec stretch. One arm at a time is also a really good way to do that one, just kind of stepping through and rotating away from that arm. Again, your elbow is below your shoulder. Another way to deepen that stretch is when you step through, extending that arm, you can get a deeper stretch as long as it doesn't cause any pain. You can deepen it further by rotating your palm up towards the ceiling, and then even further by pulling your fingers towards your elbow. So those are some basic stretches to help. Postural control is really, really important for preventing neck pain and arm pain as well, because if I'm rounding my shoulders forward, I'm looking down at the floor unless I tilt my head up. So when I do that, if I'm rounding forward and I tilt up, it makes me have a really big curve in my neck, and same principle as when I was talking about the lower back. When the curve of the spine increases, the space where the nerve exits the spine gets smaller, and so you're just putting more pressure on nerves and causing muscle pain, tension, knots or trigger points down that nerve path just by putting too much pressure on it and stimulating it, and then that will cause other issues. And also your muscles are designed to hold you up and fight gravity in a good postural position. If you're here and you're trying to hold yourself up in some way, then you're compensating and you're not using the muscles that you're supposed to use, and then you're going to wind up having pain because of that. I'll talk more about some standing postural control, ergonomics, and some good yoga poses just for core and postural control in another video. I hope that this one was helpful. If there's anything else that you would like me to include in another video, let me know. Have a good day. Bye.